miss me? Now, I'm sure a question a lot of you have been having is, where have you been? I know at this point I basically have not uploaded a video in well over a year. And this is sort of an update video to kind of tell where I've been, where the sort of project cars are, both the Toyota and the Datsun, and really where I want this channel to go and what my plans are for the future. Now, to kind of like start all this out, I should kind of explain where I was for that gap year. Basically, I've been in a master's program which I just graduated from in May, and I was absolutely enthralled with it. It was an amazing opportunity for me, but being in that program, they actually granted me a TA-ship. Now, unlike other programs where a TA usually works under a professor, you know, grading papers, getting coffee, sort of grunt work like that, my university gave me full privilege to design and create a full curriculum to teach STEM majors, and STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So while simultaneously working on this master's, doing all these classes and coursework, projects, these sorts of things, I was simultaneously teaching undergraduates. Now, that can be kind of time consuming, obviously, but the entire time I was definitely working on different projects here and there. The only thing was, I didn't quite completely wrap up some of them like I wanted to, so they didn't quite make a nice video. Others basically are still in the works, and I'm actually finishing them up now. Now, of course, obviously with the spring and the pandemic that's happened, and overall the large shutdown of most of really our day-to-day lives, that has also impacted some of the projects I've wanted to do and things I've wanted to shoot and create as far as these videos go. Now, that's definitely where a lot of that time has been, but I have been continuing several projects here and there between the Datsun and definitely this pickup. A few other things that I have in the works that hopefully will work its way down the pipeline for some future videos. Now, one of the big things I want to answer with this is, where is the Datsun at this point? I know I've had quite a few videos on the Toyota pickup. Those have been seemingly smaller projects, so they're easier to basically make a video for. The Datsun, though, had one big hang-up that happened, and it had to do with the DQ35 block. Now, over a year ago, I got that block to a local machine shop who told me that they would have a quick turnaround, have it all put together kind of deal, and back to me so I could install the pistons, rods, bearings, everything I had already bought. After a few months, the excuses kept coming down the pipeline. They kept telling me, you know, we're trying to get around to it, but my shop manager is, you know, not cooperative, these sorts of things. Which I was being way too lenient on, but given that I was in grad school, I didn't really have the time to necessarily fix that or go about, you know, pushing it on to someone else. Ultimately, what ended up happening was it got to a point where this individual stopped taking my phone calls, stopped responding to emails, and that engine block was locked in a shop that he no longer was really working at. That was super annoying, and I lost a lot of time on that. The worst part about it was, as I had the pistons, the rods, the bearings, everything was ready, but I was waiting for this individual who just stopped communication altogether. Long story short, I went, picked up the block, got it back. He didn't charge me for anything, which at that point, I don't know what I would have paid for anyway. Got it over to another local machine shop where I've had a slight hone done to it and basically had the crank polished over. So all of that is good to go. Now, in the meantime, and ultimately what I've been doing leading up to this video is I've been doing some ring gapping, making sure everything is weighted properly. But you'll see all that in a build video that's coming up once I get all that put together. Now, the Datsun itself, basically good to go. I still have like some body work things I want to do with it. I've just upgraded my welder, which is like very exciting. The other one I had, it was a good entry-level one, but it was not consistent. And it caused like a lot of problems, and it just drove me insane because you couldn't keep a nice bead going the entire time. So I've upgraded to the Vulcan 220. I know it's Harbor Freight, but I definitely did my research on it from various, you know, welding channels here on YouTube who, you know, can kind of qualify it as good. And definitely, considering I'm not a professional welder or really even a professional builder, I'm just someone who's doing this stuff in their driveway or in their garage, I think this is a really good next medium level kind of fit before I heavily invest in something like, you know, a Miller or a Lincoln Electric. So I'm excited about that. I do think a lot of the other projects I've been wanting to do with the Datsun to actually finish things up will actually get done now, which would be really nice. And I do think I'm gonna go back and redo a few things once I get kind of to those stages. One, I'm not really happy with the engine mounts I made. I think they could be a lot better. There's some stuff in the trans tunnel that needs to be reworked, and overall just buttoning up any last bit of metal that needs to be done before primer and paint. So obviously all that's really exciting, specifically considering that I am now in the build phase of that engine. It's going to be an absolute screaming power plant beast of an engine to be in this little Datsun, which will be a super lightweight car. I can't wait to be showing you guys really where all this is at, considering I'm like in the midst of it right now. But for those of you interested in the Toyota, I definitely have some stuff coming out with it. I do have a few projects to finish first off, but largely the stuff I've been working on is I did some suspension upgrades to the stock suspension in this. I do have plans in the future to build a custom coilover front suspension in this and some stuff I want to do in the rear end. Those will be things that you could probably anticipate coming up. Definitely that I have some like better shop infrastructure at this point. But one of the big things I've been working on is, again, I've gone back to the guys at LC Engineering who have an amazing new intake setup. And ultimately what you'll be seeing in a video coming up is an Offenhauser intake with a Holley Sniper EFI setup. And I gotta be honest, compared to the stock 2-barrel carb, this EFI setup has changed a lot of the ways that this truck handles, changed a lot of the way it performs, and it gives me a lot of versatility to everything from engine RPM, MPG management. I can log all kinds of variables from the engine and data log it basically and see how this thing self-learns and tunes itself. So that has been a very cool experience and something I want to show you coming up. That was definitely a bit more in-depth project than I thought it would be, considering it took sort of an overhaul of the entire fuel system. But I'll be getting into all of that basically once I get that video out and showing you really how cool that is for this little pickup. It's an awesome add-on upgrade to something that overall really has no electronics and no engine management, no ECU. So basically we've given this thing a brain, and it has been really game-changing for this little pickup. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about is ultimately where I want to go with this channel and sort of my direction of what I'm thinking now. Now, at this point, I've graduated my master's. I've been very fortunate to gain a job, definitely considering the current environment and economic situation that we're in. But that has allowed me to help fund some more projects, and that ultimately is what I'm very excited about and what I hope to kind of forward this channel going forward with videos, with new directions, new projects, all these sorts of things. So as far as like a lot of the big projects I plan on doing, I still plan on doing those as the sort of video style you've seen so far. Definitely nicely narrated, nicely put together, clean, concise information that if you were wanting to do these kind of projects at home, you can follow yourself. Now in the meantime, I've kind of been having these other little things of like some interior stuff with like the truck here, just some day-to-day things that I'd like to do more of a vlog style with. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but I didn't really have projects at the time to really do those things. So I like to do some more like day in the life sort of stuff. Join me in the garage as I kind of fumble around trying to figure something out kind of deal. And I think that might be a cool way to kind of get some more videos out, kind of see more of how I work through these things, ultimately give you guys some more kind of material and video stuff that hopefully you will enjoy. But one of the other things I'm starting to consider now, and definitely considering the future direction of where I want to go and what I want to do, I'm thinking about changing the brand of this channel. Now, I will say Old Datsun has always been something I've used when anyone asks me about my project car, specifically the 280Z. And really it always came about because when anyone would ask about it, basically no one knew what Datsuns were in 2011 when I got that car. So I would always describe it as, oh, it's an old Datsun 280Z, or what are you building? Oh, it's this old Datsun I plan on refurbishing and, basically making a race car. So for some reason, I always qualified it as old Datsun, and ultimately it just had a phonetic kind of sound to it with ultimately what I was describing. And so that is really where the name came from. Now, considering that, yes, I am still building that Datsun, I am integrating an old Toyota pickup. I want to expand this channel in the future though, because eventually, while those things will get wrapped up, you know, I'll still continue working on them and, you know, tuning and all these sorts of things. I want to leave this open where I can maybe expand into like German cars or American muscle sort of things. So one of the things I'm considering is a rebrand, possibly renaming of this channel. And currently at the time, I'm seeing a lot of people use their names for, you know, what they do on these things, and I'm considering that, although I haven't introduced myself in any sort of way on here. But that's sort of something I'm thinking of, and if you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to let me know. But that is something I'm considering at this point. Is I think this would be a really great time, considering, you know, I've had that kind of gap year. I want to come back and I want to freshen things up. Basically, I want to start kind of a new, not just style, but way of portraying both myself in these videos and ways of getting really the stuff out there. So if you have any questions or comments, definitely let me know down in the comments section. Like I said, this is just sort of an update video to give you an idea of where I've been, where the project cars are at this point, and really what my future looks like with all these things. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I promise I'm going to actually be more involved with this now that I have time again and I actually have the resources to do this. And hopefully I can bring you guys some better quality things, some new freshened ideas, and really make it not just entertaining, but actually have value to it that you guys will enjoy. So as always guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your patience in all this. Definitely stay safe during this pandemic, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, let's see if I remember how to do this.